Hi everybody, today I'm going to be reading the story of Billy's Bucket. Can I have a bucket for my birthday? Asked Billy. Billy's dad looked up from his newspaper. A bucket? You don't want a bucket for your birthday. Nobody has a bucket for their birthday. Why don't they? Asked Billy. Because, Billy, explained his mum, buckets are, buckets are far too buckety for a birthday present. But Billy wasn't persuaded. Please, can I have a bucket? He asked. Have a bike, said his dad. Or some new trainers, said Mum. Or a computer game. But I want a bucket, said Billy. All right, sighed his dad. You can have a bucket for your birthday. Yippee, shouted Billy. The next day, Billy and his mum and dad went to Buckets R Us. There were buckets of buckets at Buckets R Us. Rubber buckets, plastic buckets, metal buckets, garden buckets, farmer buckets and builders buckets, seaside buckets, and even football buckets. Billy's mum and dad followed Billy up and down every single aisle. What sort of a bucket do you want? They asked. I don't know, said Billy, but I'll know it when I see it. Look at all those buckets. Billy looked long and hard at every single bucket on every single shelf. There it is, he shouted excitedly. It's that one, right there. 19 shelves up, 78 along from the left. Billy's mum and dad got someone to help. They all look the same to me, said the shop assistant. Nope, that's the one, said Billy excitedly. When Billy got home, he ran straight into the kitchen and filled his bucket full of water. There he is. He's not even waited for Mum and Dad to get through the door. Whoa, said Billy, peering inside his bucket. I can see a rock pool with crabs and seaweed and shrimpy little things. Of course you can, smiled his mum and dad. They don't believe him. Wowee, said Billy. I just saw a shark. Of course you did, laughed Billy's mum and dad. Guess what I've seen now, said Billy, sitting down for his birthday tea. I've seen a stingray and some clownfish and a huge shoal of barracuda, and I think I've seen a mermaid, but it might have been a big herring. Of course you have, laughed Billy's dad. Billy carried his bucket into the lounge. There they are, eating hot dogs. What's in your bucket at the moment? Chuckled his dad. 2 submarines and a pilchard, said Billy. What's in your bucket now, Billy? Giggled his mum. 7 sea lions and a walrus, said Billy. Of course there are, Billy, laughed his mum and dad. Billy was still staring into his bucket at bedtime. Billy's dad nudged his wife and winked. Billy, is it all right if I borrow your bucket to mix up some wallpaper paste tomorrow? Billy looked up from his bucket and frowned. No, it isn't. There are dolphins in my bucket at the moment. You must never, ever, ever borrow my bucket. Billy's mum waited a few moments and winked. Billy, is it all right if I borrow your bucket to water the roses tomorrow? Billy looked up from his bucket and shook his head. Nope, there are 2 scuba divers in my bucket at the moment. You must never, ever, ever borrow my bucket. Billy's dad chuckled to himself and waited a few more moments. Billy, is it all right if I borrow your bucket to clean the car tomorrow? Billy looked up from his bucket and sighed. No, it isn't all right. There's a coral reef in my bucket at the moment. You must never, ever, ever borrow my bucket. What an imagination, laughed Billy's mum and dad. Time for bed. Billy put his bucket away and went upstairs. Thanks for my birthday present. It's the best present in the world. When Billy woke up the next morning, he got dressed quickly and ran downstairs to play with his bucket. But it wasn't there. Poor Billy, look at his face. How do you think he's feeling? I bet you can't guess what happened. I told you not to borrow my bucket, said Billy. Uh-oh. So Dad has borrowed the bucket to wash the car, and there was actually a real whale. And now it's come out of the bucket, and it's squashed Dad's car. It took Billy's mum and dad 6 hours, 3 fire engines, 4 cranes and a shoehorn to get the whale back inside the bucket. And you know what? They never borrowed Billy's bucket again. And there they are, all peeping in the top of the bucket, having a good look inside. What can you see? Lots of things inside Billy's bucket. They didn't believe him, did they? I wish I had a magic bucket that we could fill with lots of exciting things. Have a think, what would you put inside your bucket? Hope you enjoyed that story. See you later.